They laughed at her voice. They said she'd never make it. But Emma Rodriguez from the South Bronx just broke the internet with 47 million views in 24 hours. The girl who couldn't say think without being mocked is now the most followed motivational speaker under 25. This is her story, and it's about to change everything you believe about your limitations. Picture this. Lincoln High School, South Bronx, February 14th, 2019. Valentine's Day. While other teenagers are worried about chocolates and crushes, 17-year-old Emma Rodriguez is having a panic attack in the school bathroom. In 30 minutes, she has to give a presentation in front of her English class, the same class that's been making fun of her accent for 2 years straight. Emma stares at herself in the cracked mirror above the sink. Her reflection shows a girl with beautiful dark eyes, but those eyes are filled with terror. She practices her opening line one more time. Maya Angelou was an inspiration to millions. But it comes out as Maya Angelou was an inspiration to millions, with that thick Puerto Rican accent that makes her classmates burst into laughter every single time. The bathroom door swings open. It's her best friend, Maria Santos. Emma, girl, you've been in here for 20 minutes. Mrs. Patterson is looking for you. I can't do it, Maria. I just can't. Every time I open my mouth, they laugh. Jake Morrison started calling me Emma the Parrot because he says I sound like a bird trying to speak English. Maria grabs Emma by the shoulders. Listen to me. Your voice tells a story. It tells the story of your grandmother, who came here with nothing. It tells the story of your mother, who worked 3 jobs to keep you in school. Don't you dare let some privileged kid make you ashamed of where you come from. But Emma wasn't convinced. She'd spent her entire high school career trying to hide her accent, practicing standard American pronunciation in front of YouTube videos late at night. Nothing worked. The harder she tried to sound different, the more her natural voice fought back. The bell rings. It's time. Emma walks into Mrs. Patterson's classroom, and immediately she feels 30 pairs of eyes on her. Jake Morrison is already smirking. Ashley Chun, the class president, gives her encouraging nod, but even that feels like pity. All right, Emma. Mrs. Patterson says with a warm smile, you're presenting on Maya Angelou's impact on American literature. Take your time. Emma stands at the front of the class. Her hands are shaking so badly that her index cards are rustling like leaves in a storm. She opens her mouth to speak, and for a moment, nothing comes out. Then, barely above a whisper, she begins. Maya Angelou was born Marguerite Annie Johnson in 1928. We can't hear you, someone shouts from the back. Emma's voice cracks as she tries to speak louder. She was a poet and author who... Did she just say author like otter? Jake whispers loudly enough for everyone to hear. A few students snicker. That's when it happened. Emma's breaking point. Something inside her snapped, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of running away, instead of giving up, Emma Rodriguez did something that would change her life forever. She stopped trying to hide. You know what? Emma said, her voice suddenly strong and clear, accent and all. Yeah, I have an accent. My grandmother came to this country speaking only Spanish. My mother learned English by watching soap operas while working night shifts at the hospital. And me? I'm proud of every single sound that comes out of my mouth because it represents generations of strength and sacrifice. The classroom went dead silent. Even Jake Morrison's smirk faded. Maya Angelou wrote, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Well, my story includes my voice, my accent, my culture, and my community. And I'm done apologizing for it. Emma continued her presentation, but something had fundamentally changed. She wasn't trying to sound like anyone else anymore. She was just Emma. And for the first time in her high school career, her classmates weren't laughing. They were listening. When she finished, the room was so quiet you could hear the radiator humming in the corner. Then, slowly, Ashley Chin started clapping. Then Maria. Then, one by one, the entire class joined in. Even Jake Morrison, who looked like he'd just witnessed something he couldn't quite understand. After class, Mrs. Patterson pulled Emma aside. Emma, that was remarkable. Have you ever considered joining the debate team? Or maybe trying out for the school's poetry slam? Mrs. Patterson, I appreciate it, but I don't think public speaking is really my thing. Emma, what you just did wasn't public speaking. That was truth-telling, and the world needs more of that. That night, Emma went home to the small two-bedroom apartment she shared with her mother, Carmen, and her grandmother, Abuela Sofia. The apartment smelled like sofrito and hope the way it always did. Mija, how was school today? Her mother asked while stirring a pot of rice and beans. Different, Emma replied. Really different. She told them about what happened in English class, about how she'd stopped trying to hide her accent and started owning her story. Abuela Sofia, who was 83 and had more wisdom in her pinky finger than most people have in their entire bodies, put down her knitting and looked at Emma with those knowing eyes. Emma, when I first came to New York in 1965, I was so ashamed of my English. I practiced and practiced, trying to sound American. But you know what I learned? The most beautiful voices aren't the ones that sound like everyone else. They're the ones that sound like home. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Mrs. Patterson's words about truth-telling, about her grandmother's wisdom, about the way her classmates had actually listened when she stopped pretending to be someone else. At 2 a.m., she grabbed her phone and did something completely out of character. She opened up TikTok and hit record. Hey everyone, my name is Emma Rodriguez. For 60 seconds, and today I learned something important in English class. I learned that the thing you're most ashamed of might actually be your superpower. About her breakthrough. She almost deleted it 3 times before finally hitting post. Probably nobody will even see this, she whispered to herself as she finally drifted off to sleep. Emma woke up to her phone, buzzing like an angry bee. She grabbed it, expecting maybe a few likes from her friends. Instead, her TikTok video had 50,000 views, 8,000 likes, and 500 comments. The comments blew her mind. Girl, I needed to hear this. I'm from Texas, and I've been hiding my accent for years. My parents are immigrants too, and I've been so ashamed. Thank you for this. You just gave me the courage to stop trying to sound like everyone else. This made me cry. Your voice is beautiful. Emma sat up in bed, her heart racing. She scrolled through comment after comment from people sharing their own stories about accents, about immigration, about shame, about finding their voice. At breakfast, she showed her mother. Mija, this is incredible. Look at all these people you've inspired. Mom, it's just one video. It's probably just a fluke. But Carmen Rodriguez had been watching her daughter struggle with her identity for years. She knew this wasn't a fluke. This was Emma finally stepping into who she was meant to be. Emma, your voice has always been powerful. The only thing that's changed is that now you're not afraid to use it. Over the next few weeks, Emma started posting more videos. She talked about growing up bicultural, about the pressure to assimilate, about finding pride in her heritage, about her dreams and fears and everything in between. Her following grew slowly at first, then exponentially. 1,000 followers, 10,000, 50,000. Each video resonated with people who had felt invisible, who had been told their voices didn't matter, who had spent years trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for them. But Emma's real test was coming. In May 2019, Lincoln High School announced their annual talent show. Emma had never participated before, obviously. The thought of getting on stage in front of the entire school had been her literal nightmare. But Maria had an idea. Emma, you should do spoken word poetry. Like, about your story, about your voice. Are you insane? In front of the whole school? Including all the parents and teachers. Emma, you've got 100,000 followers on TikTok now. You're already speaking to way more people than will be at that talent show. Emma realized Maria was right. But somehow speaking to strangers on the internet felt safer than speaking to people who knew her, who had seen her at her most vulnerable. I don't know, Maria. What if I freeze up? What if I mess up? What if you don't? That night, Emma sat at her small desk in her bedroom and started writing. She wrote about her journey from shame to pride, about her grandmother's sacrifices, about her mother's strength, about finding her voice in a world that kept telling her to be quiet. She called the poem My Voice, My Choice. 3 weeks later, Emma stood backstage at the Lincoln High School auditorium. The talent show was in full swing. She'd watched dancers, singers, comedians, and musicians all take the stage. Now it was her turn. Next up, we have Emma Rodriguez performing an original spoken word piece, announced Principal Johnson. Emma walked onto the stage, and immediately she was blinded by the spotlight. The auditorium, which held 800 people, was packed. She could see her mother and grandmother in the third row, beaming with pride. She could see Mrs. Patterson giving her an encouraging nod. She could even see Jake Morrison, who had become one of her biggest supporters after her transformation in English class. Emma stepped up to the microphone, and for a moment, the old fear crept back in. All those familiar voices in her head. You don't belong here. Your voice isn't good enough. People are going to laugh. But then she heard something else. The voice of her grandmother. The most beautiful voices are the ones that sound like home. Emma took a deep breath and began. They told me my voice was broken, that it needed to be fixed. They said the way I speak was wrong, like a song that skipped. But I am not broken. I am bilingual poetry in motion. I am the dreams of my grandmother wrapped in syllables and hope. Her voice grew stronger with each line. My accent is not an accident. It's an inheritance, passed down through generations of women who refuse to be silenced. When I say think, I'm thinking of my mother working 3 jobs so I could dream. When I say home, I'm holding space for 2 countries in my heart. The auditorium was completely silent, hanging on every word. I used to practice standard English in the mirror, try to erase the music from my mouth. But now I know that my voice doesn't need to be standard. It needs to be honest. It needs to be mine. Emma finished her poem to thunderous applause. But more than that, she could see people wiping tears from her eyes. She could see students she'd never talked to giving her standing ovations. She could see parents nodding with recognition and understanding. That night, Emma posted a video about her experience at the talent show. It went viral immediately. 1 million views in the first 6 hours. Comments flooded in from around the world. I'm a first-generation American too, and this made me so proud of my heritage. I haven't spoken my native language in years because I was embarrassed. This inspired me to call my grandmother in her language. Thank you for showing me that different doesn't mean wrong. But the comment that stopped Emma in her tracks came from an unexpected source. Emma, this is Jake Morrison from your English class. I owe you an apology. I made fun of your accent because I was insecure about my own voice. Your courage inspired me to stop being a bully and start being a better person. Thank you. Within 6 months, Emma's TikTok following had grown to 2 million. Colleges started reaching out with scholarship offers. Speaking engagement requests poured in from across the country. Book publishers wanted to hear her story. But the moment that truly changed everything happened in December 2019. Emma received a direct message on Instagram that made her hands shake. Hi, Emma. My name is Sarah Chun, and I'm a producer for TEDx Youth. We'd love to have you speak at our upcoming event in Los Angeles. Your message about authentic voice and cultural pride aligns perfectly with our theme of Voices That Matter. Would you be interested? Emma screenshot the message and ran to show her mother. Mom, TEDx wants me to speak in Los Angeles. Carmen looked at the message, then at her daughter, then back at the message. Mija, do you remember when you were little and you used to practice giving speeches to your stuffed animals? Yeah, but that was just pretend. No, Emma. That was preparation. 4 months later, Emma Rodriguez stood on the red circle of the TEDx Youth stage in Los Angeles. The theme was Voices That Matter, and Emma was the closing speaker. As she looked out at an audience of 2,000 young people from around the world, Emma thought about that terrified 17-year-old girl who had hidden in the bathroom at Lincoln High School. That girl who was so ashamed of her voice that she barely whispered. Good evening, everyone. My name is Emma Rodriguez, and I want to talk to you about the most radical thing you can do in this world, being authentically yourself. Her 18-minute talk, titled The Accent of Authenticity, became one of the most watched TEDx talks of 2020. In it, Emma shared her journey from shame to pride, from hiding to shining, from whispering to roaring. She talked about how our differences aren't defects to be fixed, but gifts to be celebrated. She challenged young people to stop trying to fit in and start standing out. She reminded everyone that the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the first version of you. The talk ended with these words: "Your voice matters. Not the voice you think you should have, but the voice you actually have. The one shaped by your stories, your struggles, your heritage, your heart. The world is waiting to hear what only you can say. So stop whispering and start speaking. Stop hiding and start shining. Stop apologizing for who you are and start celebrating who you're becoming." The standing ovation lasted for 3 minutes. Within 24 hours, the video had 5 million views. Within a week, 20 million. Comments poured in from teenagers around the world who had found the courage to embrace their own authentic voices. Today, Emma Rodriguez is 22 years old. She's a best-selling author, her book, Accented, Finding Your Voice in a World That Wants You to Sound Like Everyone Else, has been translated into 12 languages. She's spoken at over 200 schools and universities. Her TikTok videos have been viewed over 500 million times. But more importantly, she's inspired a movement. Young people around the world are embracing their accents, their cultures, their authentic selves. They're sharing their stories without shame. They're speaking their truth without apology. Emma still lives in the Bronx, in a slightly bigger apartment now, but still with her mother and grandmother. She still makes rice and beans on Sunday nights. She still speaks Spanish at home and English at work, and sometimes both in the same sentence, because that's just who she is. And when young people ask her for advice about finding their voice, she always tells them the same thing her grandmother told her. The most beautiful voices aren't the ones that sound like everyone else. They're the ones that sound like home. Emma Rodriguez discovered that her voice didn't need to be fixed. It needed to be freed. And when she freed her voice, she freed herself. And when she freed herself, she showed millions of other people that they could be free too. The girl who was once mocked for her accent is now changing the world, one authentic word at a time. Because sometimes the thing you're most ashamed of isn't your weakness. It's your superpower waiting to be unleashed. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. The world is waiting to hear what only you can say. So stop whispering and start speaking. Your time is now.